Good Wednesday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel. Talks about all my cars and trucks, the motorcycles, the camper, the pool, the dogs, the monkey. Wow, it's not supposed to be raining this morning, which is totally a bummer because my pool is out here, but oh my gosh. As always, good Wednesday morning there to all those that subscribe to my channel and watch me gab away in the morning as I share my views and ideas and thoughts to get the day going. And so anyways, thanks for subscribing and watching as we talk the morning. It's yet another morning conversation of what do I dig up to talk about to keep you entertained for more than 5 minutes, right? Yeah, average length I think of my video is 11 minutes of duration, and then people turn it off. Yes, that is a fact, just so you know. You'd be out there that I can look at the analytics of my channel, and sometimes I think, yeah, the big guys have 10-minute, 15-minute conversations, and that's it. I just keep on yakking and talking until I turn blue in the face. Yes, so let me get the camper here. Loving the camper. We're still out in the camper. Some predicted I couldn't stay in this thing more than a few days. Well, you're wrong. That was the experts' prediction, right? I mean, so in life, we've already had the Monday conversation of secrets, Tuesday remember things, and here we are, the collection of even more motorcycles. I get rid of something for something else, and that little Honda Monkey is so much fun. Makes me think I'm a kid again. And isn't that what life's all about as you get older? Is how you feel you can be a kid again. I mean, sincerely, is that the goal of life as you get older? I mean, with all the medicine out there, all the pills, all the different medical procedures, it seems like that's a driving force. Okay, come on, pups, come on, get over there. Nope, you ain't going up because it just turns into there's a frog living out back here. Look at that. Let's see. Be a keeper. Yeah, other dogs I have, they would have killed them. I'm not lying. But other dogs I've had usually, they just kill it. Buddy Boy would have terminated that thing very quickly. So in life, it seems like as you get older, your biggest goal in life is to live longer and to live healthier. And people know that the amount of money people spend on pills and, surgery, face surgery, all those things that, especially for women, that they do to their bodies to make them look youthful is, that's something that is huge in our country. And so once again, it's the never-ending conversations with Iceman and the monkey, how that just kind of came out of the, how did that come to be, right? How did I go from a week ago thinking I have a monkey sitting here in my garage? I mean, even for me, I don't disagree. It's like, wow, there's all my Honda Talon accessories. And then I got a guy on my channel named Green Rush. You know what? He's always come across a pretty cool guy or gal or whatever. And for whatever reason, Green Rush kind of went after me last night. And I borderline turned him off from having access to my channel, but I didn't. And just interesting, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Green Rush. So he claims to live next to me, which I think that's very intriguing. He was making comments that my dogs were on his property. This individual is making, and don't get me wrong, I know the trolls are out there, the bots out there, and all sincereness, yeah, whatever. It's a YouTube channel. Yeah, whatever. So very intriguing for the Green Rush subscriber that's always promoting me to get a live wire or the Pan America. And see, actually, they've even made comments. I'm just very surprised. Even went to look at his profile, and I'm the only one out there that's giving him a ton of loving on his commenting on my channel. I have the highest number of giving him really appreciation comments from my channel. So just intriguing how, for whatever reason, Green Rush, I don't know why you kind of went after me and my channel last night. Whatever. I mean, if that's what kind of gets you going in life, then whatever. I mean, kind of feel, I'm just reaching out to you on a personal note here on my channel. Even other subscribers have made mention of you. And, so it's just kind of like, what's going on? What's going on? And I'm sorry if you have challenges in life, and how can I help you? Reach out on my personal email side and personally reach out to me. maybe I can help you out. Who knows? I don't know. Anyways, there's no hate here on my channel. That's not what my channel's about. My channel's just about sharing with you the crazy things that I do. Which, if you watch my channel, you know that, yeah, I do crazy things. How many purchases am I up to? Am I up to like 15 purchases? I think I am. Am I going to go through that right now? I'm not. So it's always about picking the word. Yeah, you know, and I try to take a word and I don't know. It just kind of try to make you feel like there's something that you learn from it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And I just got to thinking at the last second, I was going to have the morning conversation called luck, because I think you create your own luck or you don't. And for me, I got to thinking, I don't know. So you know what I thought? I thought to myself, we should call this word of the day expert. Doesn't it seem like more than ever in our society, we have the experts around us like never seen? I mean, sincerely, if you get into social media, you will interact, and you really won't even interact. You will just read posted comments from creators and from even YouTubers that seem to be the expert. They seem to be these experts of all these different fields, and they seem to know. I've said it so many times. They're the prophets. They're the prophets of the social media that can tell you and predict you what's going to play out. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like that's kind of the language of these YouTubers. So I thought to myself, expert would be a great conversation because, as you know, if you're a big car enthusiast and you're like Jeff Gordon, an incredible race driver. Jimmy Johnson, incredible race driver. These are expert drivers. Tony Stewart. You know, these are people that are experts in their field of what they do, and they've done incredibly well. Tom Brady, an incredibly expert at being a football player. Messi, the soccer player, an incredible expert at being one of the greatest soccer players to date. Dale Earnhardt, he was an expert in racing and sadly died in so many eyes very young, which he did. Dale Jr., he was so-called an expert in racing. You can just go through the list of all the different sports and activities, and you can name off tons of them that people mastered what they were in love with, what they wanted to do. Even though, like Andre Agassi, I know him because when I was younger, I used to watch his videos to play tennis because I loved tennis, and I used to learn some of his techniques by watching his videos and all. And so, Andre Agassi, you know, he made a whole video or a whole book about how he hated tennis. Even though he was an expert in being a tennis player, in so many ways, he hated what he was doing. Yes, that's a fact. And so, you know, once again, it's intriguing that we live in a society of social media more than ever at its highest level. My little vehicle here, the town's in trash with all the tree stuff. You can just wash it out. I've owned many of them, and that's all you do. So so for so many out there in the social media, it seems like we have these incredible experts that can tell you what is going on. And in fact, this morning I was watching Jamie Dimon, whatever you call his name, of JP Morgan Bank. It's the largest bank of the world. And Jamie Dimon, if I say it right, he has the credentials to be evaluated and to be the expert to be looked and called out on to what's going on in the world. In which here's a 37-minute video of the Wall Street Journal lady doing a personal interview with him and asking him critical questions of where this country is and where it's going. And he did a good job. I'll give him credit. He did a good job. And, you know, when you listen to him talk, you take it to heart because the guy's been in the banking industry his whole life, and he's running one of the biggest banks in the world. So you can't just be some non-expert. So he's an expert in his field. And it's interesting how he shares in how 20% of this country is in dire straits. But it's been that way for 20 plus years. So there's just for the general population of this country, 20% of the people in this country make $15 an hour or less. And are borderline, they're poverty stricken. So they're very challenged and they're not staying up to the means of life. But then he comments on 50% of the people in this country are in the middle. And for the most part, they're okay. For the most part, 50% of the class, the middle class is doing okay and is holding their own. And it isn't really any different from really how it's been all the time. It's always, the middle class has always been challenged more than the upper class. That's nothing new. I mean, in some ways, I grew up in the middle class. My father was never a very rich person. My father made a nice income, but we weren't above the most. We were just pretty much, for the most part, average. We didn't live in $1 million homes. I mean, we just didn't, my father was a very hard worker. He paid his bills, but he had 4 children and he had obligations. So we only had a few cars. We didn't have tons. We had our first boat. It was a freaking little day sailor boat. It wasn't until I got out of high school, my dad actually bought a Bayliner boat, which was a very bare, basic boat. We didn't do extravagant vacations or anything. So point is, the middle class has always had challenges, and it continues on. But then you go to the upper class and the wealth factor, those people are doing extremely well because they have the monies to play in the markets. They have the monies to have bought properties and land. And over the last 3-4 years from the pandemic, the explosion of expenses and prices, most people have done very well. They're in the upper class because all of their land and assets have gone up tremendously. If you've got gold, if you've bought gold years ago, if you've invested in the right stocks, so the upper wealth is doing very, very well. So for Jamie, he's just basically, in so many ways, saying that this country is overall, it's in good shape, but there is geopolitical concerns of us being in the war with Ukraine, the Israel and Gaza, Hamas war, the Chinese and Russian and North Korea, relationships. So there's definitely very concerning times of where we are geopolitically of this country's involved with very tense things overseas. But what's also interesting is the barrel of oil just can't rise like these greedy stock market traders wanted to do. They can't get the stock on the oil to get up much beyond $80 a barrel because now they're publishing reports that the oil market's soft. That domestic side, the oil use isn't really at that high a demand. And so for the expert, Jamie, he's basically conveying to the Wall Street Journal journalists that this country is in better shape than many want to believe. That the Biden economics, in all reality, are working because of the industrialization of us going to the green agenda, which I've talked about that many times on my channel. The green agenda, if you're a green agenda activist and you're a green agenda business, Joe Biden is enriching you by handing out subsidies to help you create a business for the future of renewable energies. And here comes a kid with a Triumph shirt on. Where'd you get that shirt? Where'd you get the Triumph shirt? Where'd you get the Triumph shirt? Where'd you get the Triumph shirt?
When you got your Triumph rocket.
Oh, nice.
That was motorcycle.
Okay. So anyways, so it's just very interesting that the conversation is not the doom and gloom, but yet all these other YouTubers out there are promoting that the country is going to go to being broker than broke, and we're going to be in havoc times like never seen. And it's just as, and so once again, my point is, you seem to have an incredible amount of experts out there that now can tell you, watching their video, that the car dealerships are in such a bad shape that they can't sell any cars, they're going to go bankrupt. Now, my good friend Alex, who used to work at Orsman Ford, that got the 37 Raptor done for me, he's now the GM of Malloy Ford of Alexandria. And I called him yesterday because he's shown on his website a hot pepper red Ford Ranger Raptor. And I actually ordered one of those from Orsman Manassas Ford that still hasn't been put in production. And I called him and he reached back out to me. I was very impressed because he's a GM now of the dealership, so he's got a lot going on. But he got back to me rather quickly, and that was shipped to his Charlottesville store, so he didn't have it. But he has a black Ford Raptor Ranger coming in here within this month. So he said he'd call me and gets that one in. And because see, he did this deal here And I'd be like, okay, you got to give me decent money to get out of this to get to the Ranger Raptor. That's my right now, for those watching my channel, that's the card for a Ranger Raptor. If I don't use that, there really isn't much more other than the truck right here. But I think a lot of people on my channel would be like, you gave up the race truck for the Ranger Raptor. Why? And most people would be like, give up the electric truck. I can't. That truck right there, for all the experts, yeah, that thing's buried. That truck there, that's at least 2-3 years, 2 more years at least of payments at least. Or we have a major world crisis where we have fuel shortages, and then do I let it go because that all of a sudden becomes very valuable? I truly believe that's what would play out. Am I the expert? I'm not. So back to the conversations of, here's the gloomer doomers. So my friend Alex is telling me right now their challenge is getting vehicles. They're back in the same predicament again of getting vehicles. Why? Because the Francis Scott Key Bridge that the big tanker ship or the big cargo ship ran into and took out the whole bridge, that's totally goofed up the whole Port of Baltimore's way of bringing in cars and inventorying cars on how they go through the system. And so now he literally has guys with tow trucks bringing cars to his dealership. And it takes much more, it's a lot longer process. It's a pain in the ass. But his challenge in his business right now is he can't get cars in because of the challenges of the whole port being screwed up. So, and his dealership's doing very well. And once again, but I just have these conversations all the time of the constant rhetoric of you hearing such the end of the world conversation. But what's really interesting is, if you listen to my conversation from Remember, which I think a lot of people it gets too lengthy, too in-depth. I think a lot of people just turn it off. I just think they like to hear me get my conversation kind of going. And then I think a lot just got too much on their agenda, which I agree. I don't disagree. Unless you're sitting in a truck, car, vehicle, somewhere where you're just going somewhere with nothing to do, I think my channel works for you. If you're in other positions, I don't think that's going to be the case. You just don't have the time to listen to me yabba dabba do. So, and I'm sure in some eyes, how much information, what are you getting out of it? So the aquifers, this is a thing I just read this morning. I think it's incredible how I have these conversations, and then it's like a little later, these conversations populate the Wall Street Journal. If you remember last year, I was on the pot smoking. I was talking about how many people smoke pot and how many people are doing drugs at home that remotely work, and you don't know, the employers don't know what's going on because you can't see them in person. They're sitting behind the screen of a computer, and you don't really know per se what they're doing. And I talked about that in great length. And it wasn't like a month later, 2 months later, Wall Street Journal had a major article on how the HR in major companies has seen a huge spike in drug addiction, drug use in the business world, where people are reaching out to HR and telling them that they have a problem, and if they were required to come back to work, it's even more challenging for them because they're doing drugs throughout the day and they've got an addiction. Yeah, that was just incredible on how I talked about that, but only for a little while later. But so here's the deal. Yesterday I'm talking about, I remember so well of being in the waterless car wash business and the whole dire straits of the water situation would prevail 30 years later. Well, guess what? In so many ways, I kind of misled my information yesterday, because now I'm reading a major article that in Kansas, I already know. I know before I even talked about this yesterday that California, Colorado, all those areas are fighting for the water. But for Kansas, the aquifer that's running all the crops out there, it's getting to dramatically low levels that is forcing Kansas and the farmers to re-strategize on what crops are going to grow. If you're even doing crops, may have to go to animals, and how the aquifer is really being drained faster than it can ever be replenished. And it's a major problem. And it's corn. And I think to myself, corn is the key ingredient for ethanol. And how much energy, how much water is being used? What so many know, ethanol is the biggest scam in the world. It is. Ethanol Trump was supposed to ban ethanol, and then he went out to the frickin' he went out there to the big convention, and I guess which was it, Iowa, and he got slammed back in 2015 or 16 when he was running for president because he was going to ban ethanol because it's just smoke and mirrors. It's just a huge profit center for all these ethanol manufacturers because they can make so much money off of selling corn to mix in with gas, and it's a huge industry. But if you're really astute, if you're an expert on gasoline, you know that what ethanol does to gasoline in so many ways it makes your car less efficient. In so many ways it does so much damage to your vehicle. Most people understand all this language I'm talking about. The removal of ethanol would be the best thing this country could ever do for fuels. But you can't. It's too much of a political position, and the rich guys have all the money to elect officials, won't let this thing go away. But the point is, how much water and energy is being used to create corn? You know, it's a cause and effect problem. So, you know, I think it's intriguing that you hear this story about Kansas of losing its water supplies because of the overgrowth of agriculture in our country to support our country's infrastructure for what? Food or for ethanol? That was never disclosed. That's what I'm kind of intrigued to know more about. And I know corn's used in a lot of stuff, so I'm not that, stupid, but I'm not the expert, or am I that stupid? But I think to myself, it's just a good example of where we are in society and how the experts are telling people what's going to play out. And the expert water individuals are telling, they're raising the flag that the challenge is huge for the future of water in certain parts of this country. And, over there in Arizona, they're starting to not allow developments to be built because the water infrastructure can't support it. California, I'm sure many people on the West Coast know these conversations more because it's more of a local issue than it is for me. We don't really per se have the problems here like they do. But here's the thing. You think to yourself, okay, you're listening to the experts talk about the challenges of mankind's continuing growth of population, even though for Elon Musk, for whatever reason, Elon Musk, he says that this country's in dire straits because we're not having enough babies. His position is this country's going to be challenged in the future because there's not enough babies being born. I'm thinking, man, I don't know, Elon, you know how many illegals are coming here? You know how many illegals are bringing babies here? I mean, are you kidding me? I don't know, man. I mean, I just think to myself, Elon, well, even sure, people look to Elon as being an expert in many, many aspects of everything. I mean, sincerely, when does Elon not make statements and people are like, oh my gosh, that's just incredible how smart that guy is and blah, 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 blah. Right, yeah. So the point of my conversation, though, is on the experts is if the dire straits of the water infrastructure really is going to come to be, you just think to yourself, then why is this country letting all these illegals come in by the millions upon millions upon millions to put the economic hardships in the infrastructure of so many things that just magnifies things even more? But see, we all have pea-sized brains because it's just the universe, it's Mother Nature, Earth, that I think, once again, the experts start to tell you how everything's going to play out, which, don't get me wrong, I think that the water aquifers is a real thing. I think that's they're probably pretty accurate of what's going to play out eventually, of these things maybe drying up. But the point is, as this country lets so many more people come into this country, where we go from 300 million people to eventually 1 billion people, how is this country's infrastructure going to survive? And that's many, many, many years away if it even got to that. But at the rate we're going of 20, 30, 40 million more illegals a year, and I know people die off and everything else, but just in 10 years, that could be 400 million, 500 more people. Think it through. 20 million, 30 million people, I'll just be more conservative. It could be 200 to 300 million more people in our country, which puts us at 500 million to 600 million people in this country. And where are they going to go? Where's the housing? It's just too big. But where I live, there's a house being built in every corner. Where I live, there's another office building or shopping center being built in every corner. And when I go to Florida, same story. When I go to Tennessee, same story. So I just get befuddled when I hear the experts tell everybody the dire straits of this country. But what I witness is things that are exploding, prosperous, and prosperity. It's beyond believable of what's going on. And I think where it really goes all south is everybody starts to compare the economic data to the pandemic, is where it all goes wrong. It's where it all goes wrong. And so like the job infrastructure, when everybody went home, but then when the economy got opened back up, so many people were brought back into the workforce, but now that's tamed down some, where it's back to reality. And that's what Jamie was saying, is we're at a consistent and steady level of unemployment level that's just pretty much steady. And I know some people, and here's the thing, if you don't like Joe Biden, you're going to hope and pray that this economy goes in tanks to force the hand of others to change their vote. But it's not going to happen. So with that mentality, I think that's so wrong. But I think that's what goes on when you have different powers to be that are running the country. They despise the meanness, the cruelty, the rudeness, the devious things that people do to undermine those, to prove that they're right versus wrong. But at the end of the day, you're not going to change most people's mindset. If you have a Democratic person, they're going to most likely say Democrat, whether this country goes to the toilet or not. I'm sorry. A percentage of them will pull out. But no, Republicans, same thing. If the Republican administration runs this country into the ground, I just can't see a lot of Republicans jumping to the other side of the fence. Some will, most won't. It's the old 80-20 rule. I mean, that's kind of the way you could look at life, is 80% of the people just kind of sit on the fence and the other 20% get things done. Yeah, right. And that story, I don't know if that's an accurate evaluation of what I'm saying. So on the Never Ending Conversations on the Ice Age TV, it's just me, once again, just sharing my information, my views, my thoughts, my ideas. And the FedEx guy was so cool that came here yesterday, delivers pool. Nicest guy in the world. Just a really cool guy. I mean, just incredible how nice. I mean, we have so many nice people out there in this country, really do. But the social media, they're the experts on telling everybody the dire straits of everything coming to an end. And you should be scared as all get out. And that, you're going to be in despair like never seen. And I mean, I just think to myself, yeah, I mean, I think you will be. I truly think that if you get up every day of your life and you truly believe all the rhetoric that's going on in social media and YouTube channels, that you're going to lose your job, that everything's going to be in bad, eventually it will be. Because what you learn on life is whatever you focus on expands. That's a fact. Whatever you focus on expands. That's just the way we operate as human beings. So if you're focused on all the negativity, that will be your end result. And I have people I have a lot of YouTubers that see my channel for the first time, and they will reach out immediately. How are you so rich? How are you so wealthy? And you know what I do? I just copy and paste my Think and Grow Rich video, and I just give that to them to listen to my Think and Grow Rich video, to listen to what was a beginning foundation of my life that helped me become successful in my life. But I also have had major failures as well. So there's nothing here guaranteed. But for me, I try to keep it more upbeat in life than downbeat. And I think that's what drives my channel as far as having really great subscribers, is because I try to keep my channel more of the upbeat note than the downbeat mode. But I tell you all the time, and people agree, it's the algorithms. My upbeat channel doesn't really attract people. The people that want to watch stuff are everybody that's down and out. So it's the percentage of people in this country, they're truly, I guess, in some ways, losers. They've come to closure that they're a loser, and they're not going to prevail in life, and they're going to have to be relying on the federal government, and they're going to be relying on somebody else to take care of them. And that's, unfortunately, the underlying message more than ever today. And the social media, the geopolitical, the politicians, it's about you succumbing to their views and ideology by you being sold out to bend to their policies for you to think that they're going to take care of you, which in the end, they're not. They're going to screw you in the end. Yes. Yeah, politicians are not nice people. And now here's Donald Trump in court with Stormy Daniels. Isn't that the perfect name? Stormy Daniels, where she's disclosing all of the personal relationships in the courthouse, which now some of the lawyers and even the judge is questioning why she's having to get so in depth of every little detail of her relationship with Donald Trump, and she's playing the woes me card that, you know, that she got involved with a man that she never intended to get involved in. Who knows? I mean, but here's the thing. I talk about all the time. What's the focal point of this country besides Donald Trump? I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I mean, sincerely. I mean, just, and I know there's other things going on, but oh my gosh. You know as well as I do, if you wanted to go start digging up dirt on anybody in life, you could start just digging. You could just create content, create things. You can just start doing whatever you got to do to be devious. And what is that? What drives that? So what drives a mentality where people just love? I mean, and that's the thing about mankind. That's the devil's workshop. People just love to look at the failure and the things that can destroy somebody else. They just love it. They just love to see somebody else be destroyed. And that's just mankind. It's just the evil of mankind. And so sadly, in our country, more than ever, one of my YouTubers said it well. You know, the devil's workshop is among us like never ever seen. You know, the day of reckoning, the day of coming to meet the Maker, maybe sooner than later. And man, would more people get on the page of life of being ready to meet your Maker and be more at peace with this world, at peace with yourself? I mean, come on. But nope, that ain't gonna happen if you have politicians involved. We all know that. All right, that's it. I got a late start as always. We're just having way too much fun out here playing all night long with the Honda Monkey and hanging out in the camper, and yeah. And then a week from today, I'll be on the road going to Myrtle Beach with this camper and motorcycles and going for a Myrtle Beach bike week, adventure week, which that'll definitely change my whole morning conversation. So Wednesday of next week, that won't be happening. Doubt Thursday, Friday, being down there at Myrtle Beach to be around everybody in those campers. I mean, I don't know. For me to, I'd probably just be a timeout time. Probably a good thing, really, because just it's a lot of work to try to bring you guys information and content and views and ideas and thoughts and talk. So I guess it'll be a timeout for a while. So anyways, that's it. What am I going to do today? Well, where's my next project? Yeah, projects after projects after projects. And that's a project. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching my channel. God bless. Stay safe. Have a great day.